My name is Aisha Amsterdam, and today I'll be talking to you on a logic attribute set. My logic attribute set that I'll be looking at would be shapes. And the shape I'll be looking at shapes at the different levels from grade 1 to 4. At the grade 1 level, I'll be teaching the learners the name of the shapes. So the different shapes we have here are, and the shapes that we're looking at directly are plane shapes. And the different shapes we have here are circle, square, rectangle, and triangle. So for the grade 1 learners, I'll be teaching them the names of the different shapes. For the grade 2 learners, I will be looking at the sides, how many sides the different shapes have. For the circle have no side, the circle is round and round and round. The square have 4 sides, but all 4 of the sides are equal. The triangle have 3 sides, but each side have points or tips. And the rectangle have 4 sides. It have 2 long sides and 2 short sides. That is for the grade 2 learners. For the grade 3 learners, yes, for the grade 3 learners, I'll be looking at things in the environment or things in the classroom or things in the home that look like these different shapes. For example, let's look at the circle. One thing in the home or in the environment that look like a circle, it's a pizza. It is round and round and round. Then for a square, one thing in the environment that look like a square, it's a tabletop. At the top of the table, it's square because all the sides here are equal. Another thing in the environment that look like a rectangle, it's a door or the blackboard or the matchbox. That look like a rectangle because it have 2 long sides and it have 2 short sides. For the triangle, we can have a cone or even the letter that looks like a triangle. And for the grade 4 learners, I'll be looking at line of symmetry. How much parts the different shape can be divided into. For the circle, it can divide into 4 equal parts, as well as the triangle, as the square and the rectangle. They can also be divided into 4 equal parts. But for the triangle, it can be divided into 3 equal parts. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tanuja Ramkisoon and I am looking at the rectangular geoboard and I'll be demonstrating how it can be used in 4 different grades, grade 1 through 3 and 4. For grade 1, I can teach learners how to create different kinds of shape on the rectangular geoboard using elastic rubber bands. This is an hands-on learning activity that makes it more engaging for the learners. For example, we can use a geoboard to create different kinds of shapes. Here, a square shape, rectangle shape, and a triangle shape were created on the geoboard using rubber bands. After creating the shapes, learners can also count the sides of each shape. For grade 2 learners, I can teach them how to use a geoboard to create composite shapes, where they can combine 2 or more shapes to create new ones. For example, on the geoboard here, 2 square shapes come together or combine to make a rectangle. In grade 3 level, I will be also teaching learners how to create patterns on the geoboard, on the rectangular geoboard. For example, the square shape here on top here, it has 3 white pins. At the middle, 3 pink pins, and the last row, 3 white pins. And by creating patterns, learners can repeat visual sequence by connecting rubber bands to create shapes or any other design. These patterns can be based on colors, shapes, or any other arrangement of shapes by repeating this sequence. For a grade 4 level, teacher can show children how to create angles using elastic rubber bands also. They can make right angles, acute angles, or any other angles of their choice. Here is an example of a right angle. To end my part of the presentation, Gboard in mathematics is an effective tool for teaching a variety of mathematical concepts such as shapes, composite shapes, patterns, and angles. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Suminch Prasad and I am looking at innovative teaching aid. Before I can demonstrate what is an innovative teaching aid, we must first know what is an innovative teaching aid. Now, an innovative teaching aid is a tool or resource that enhances the learning ways. It is a method or strategies designed to make learning interactive and meaningful. I'll be demonstrating the use of an innovative teaching aid, which is in a form of a game. The game is basically the 4-operation game, which is addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. And it can be used in grades 1 to 4. Reason why in all the 4 grades we use the 4 main operations. Now, here is the game. Here we have division, addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Here we have the arrow. Now, in each game, there's a pocket with problems. For example, here. Now, the children will be spinning this spinner. Now, if it drops on multiplication, they have the options to choose from. For example, they have some problems, what is multiplication, and some other problems. For example, they will be asked 4 multiplied by 5, what is the answer? 12 multiplied by 2, what is the answer? Also, what is multiplication? Next, when they finish with that, again, when another child spin, and if it lands on addition, there's other options too. For example, where we add here, sum is associated with addition, true or false. Again, some addition problem, what is addition, and some addition sums. Spin again, and if it's land on division, again, in the pocket, they have problems. Like, for example, one word associated with division, they can list the one word. What is division? They can be able to tell you what is division. 3 divided by something equal to 3, they will be able to find the answer. And the list goes on. And the last one we have is subtraction. We explore. Again, we have some word cards where they will go through. Whichever one they choose, they will answer. Now, this game will be interactive. because it will give the children a reason to play. And
The instrument that I have chosen is the trundle wheel, also known as the measuring wheel. Now, the trundle wheel is used to measure distance. So let's take, for example, we want to measure the distance in the classroom from, let's say, from the back of the class to the chalkboard. So this, I'm going to demonstrate how we're going to use the trundle wheel. Now, as you can see on the trundle wheel here we have start and we're going to end here as well. So each click, when I'm going to demonstrate it, each click means that it's 5 meters. So this is how I will demonstrate it to the class. So I'm going to hold the trundle wheel. I'm going to start from the back of the class. We're going to measure the distance from the back to the front to the chalkboard. So in order to do that, you're going to roll the trundle wheel, and every time it clicks, that will tell us that it's 5 meters. So let's say if we move from the back of the class to the front of the class and we have 10 clicks, then it means that will be 50 meters. The distance from the back of the class to the front of the class will be 50 meters. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So I chose the Chinese tangram. Now, you may ask, what is a Chinese tangram? A Chinese tangram is a puzzle made up of 7 flat shapes. Now, let's look into the shapes. If you look here, you're seeing 2 large triangles. Then we have 3 small triangles. We have a parallelogram and a square. All of these pieces are called tans. The goal when using a Chinese tangram is to make several shapes. For example, we have some here where we can make numbers. We can also make letters. We can make animals and stuff like that. Now the goal is to rearrange these pieces without leaving any extra parts out. So you're rearranging these pieces to make shapes, to make other shapes. Now in our classrooms, here are some ways and in different grades that we can use this. Now in grade 1, those little kids, they like manipulatives and they need to build their fine motor skills. So we can give them this, let them manipulate it and tell us the different shapes. So we can teach shapes in grade 1 with this. In grade 2, we can also teach shapes in grade 2 and the sides of it, all the properties of the shape in grade 2. In grade 3, we can take these same shapes and we could teach perimeter with them. So we could get the kids to measure it in the classroom in groups and write down the sides of it, and they can, write down the sides and find the perimeter of the shape. We can use it, we could put it in our corners so they can use it as manipulatives. In grade 4, they could find the area of the shapes. They can also find the perimeter of the shapes, and they can also, for their leisure time, when they have the encore, they can make shapes with the same Chinese tangram. And those are the uses, and those are the ways we can use them in our classroom on a daily basis or in mathematics. Thank you.
Hi, so I was tasked with completing a circular geoboard. Now with my circular geoboard, I'm going to teach my grade 5 class concepts such as polygons. As you can see here, shaped by the white rubber band, I have a rectangle. Now these shapes will be formed using rubber band as seen here in the video. In addition to that, I'm going to teach circle and the parts of a circle. I can use my rubber band and I can show the children how to find the diameter of a circle, to find the radius of a circle, and even to show them the circumference of a circle. In addition to that, I can also use it to teach fractions. I can form different fractions using my geoboard. Here I have half, here I have 1/3 highlighted here. Another topic that can be taught using the circular geoboard is angles. I can use my rubber band to form different angles to show the children. As you can see here, I have a right angle triangle. I can use it to form acute angles and all other type of angles. I can also use my geoboard to teach them about sectors.
I will be looking at a set of mathematical measuring instruments. The first instrument is graduated cylinder. Now, in math, a graduated cylinder is a piece of lab equipment used to measure the volume of liquid. It is a tall, narrow cylinder with markings on the side that indicate specific volumes, typically in millimeters, which is ml, or liters, which is L. These cylinders help in accurately measuring and dispensing liquids in various scientific and laboratory applications. Here are more details or explanations of the graduated cylinder. Its shape, cylindrical and tall, with a narrow diameter to allow for precise volume measurement. Its graduations, the markings on the side of the cylinder indicating specific volumes like millimeters. The materials, these can be made of glass or plastic. Accuracy, more accurate than beakers for measuring liquids, but less precise than volumetric pipettes or flasks, or pipettes or flasks. An example we have, imagine you need to measure 50 milliliters of water for an experiment. You would carefully pour the water into the graduated cylinder, making sure to read the measurement at the bottom of the meniscus, the curved surface of the liquid, to ensure accuracy. A pipette is primarily, that's the second one, a pipette is primarily used in scientific labs to measure and transfer precise volumes of liquids, rather than being a tool directly used in math. It is a crucial instrument in fields like chemistry, biology, and microbiology for experiments involving dilutions and reactions that require accurate liquid measurements. Now, here is why pipettes are not directly used in maths. Math focuses on manipulating numbers, performing calculations, and solving equations. Pipettes, on the other hand, are physical tools used to measure physical quantities like volume. The other one, the last one I would like to look at, is the volumetric flask. Now, this is used in math, specifically in quantitative chemistry, for making solutions of precisely known concentrations. It's a calibrated glass or plastic container that holds a specific volume of liquid at a particular temperature. The key use is to precisely measure and dilute solutions, which is crucial for accurate chemical calculations and experiments.
Hi, my name is Ms. Latoya Rose, and I'll be presenting on the mathematical balance. But before I start, this is what it looks like. It is made out of cardboard, plastic cups. We're going to use a string and the screw to hold down here in the middle so that it can move. So it's going equal. Now as the video goes on, you will see how I use this teaching in grade 1 to 4. Now before we start, what is a mathematical balance? A mathematical balance is a powerful teaching aid used to visually demonstrate the concept of equality in mathematics. It also helps our primary students understand that an equation must be balanced on both sides, more like of a scale. Now in the lower grades, it would introduce the idea of equal amounts using physical objects, while in the upper grades, which would be from grade 3 and up, it would support problem solving, where we can use missing numbers, preparing them for orally algebraic thinking. Now, the hands-on nature of the balance would help our children grasp abstract ideas in a concrete and engaging way. Now, how can we use this teaching aid in grade 1 to 4? Now, grade 1 students are just beginning to learn what equal means. These teaching aids will help them to see that both sides of an equation must have same value. Now, for example, we can place 3 blocks on one side and on the other. Now we will ask them questions like, how many do you think we will have to get on the side that is up in order for it to be equal? Respond, count, and add up to see that we would be needing 3 in order for it to add up. Right. For grade 2, we can start the students with problem solving equation using missing numbers. We can use this balance. For example, if one side has 5 coins and the other side has 2 coins, that's an hidden amount. We can do it like a object or a question. Now in the grade 3, students can compare 4 equations. For example, if one side of the balance can have 4 plus 3 blocks and the other side has 2 plus 5 blocks, balance this level, students understand that 4 plus 3 would equal 2 plus 5. Now this supports thinking about numbers in different combinations that give the same total. Now for the grade 4 level, students can begin to explore algebra. With this mathematical balance, it can be used to solve equations like x plus 2 equals 6. One side has a card labeled x and 2 blocks, which is this side, and the other side would have 6 blocks. Now students will be able to figure out how many blocks x must be to make the balance level. Now this teaching aid would be very effective for our learners in those 4 levels. It's a tool that makes math concepts more visual, interactive, and easier for our students to understand.
My name is Renata Campbell, and I will be looking at the fraction wheel. Now, a fraction wheel is a circular chart like a pizza or a roti that is being divided into equal parts to help learners understand the concept of fraction. Now, I will be looking at 4 different grades within the primary classroom that we can use the fraction wheel to teach the concept fraction. Now, the first grade I will be looking at is the grade 3. This is whereby it is an introduction to fraction. Now, our goal as a teacher here is to show what a whole is. Now, in order to do so, we can cut a roti into 8 equal parts. Now, we can ask our learners, if we should eat all 8 parts, that is 8 over 8, we ate the entire pizza, or we can say roti. Now, an activity that we can give our learners is that they can shade 8 out of 8 using a circle or the next grade I will be focusing on is the grade 4. Now, this is where we can teach equivalent fraction. Now, again, our goal as a teacher is to teach fraction, that meaning that different fraction can be equal. Now, we can show 4 over 8, which is equal to half, or 2 over 8, which is equal to 1/4 or a quarter. Now, again, we can ask our learners, 4 out of 8 is half. If we eat 8 over 8, that means we eat the whole roti or the whole pizza. So 8 over 8 generally means a whole. The next grade I will be focusing on is the grade 5, which is addition and subtraction of fraction. Now, our goal is to use the 8 over 8 operations. Now, for example, 3 over 8 plus 5 over 8 equals 8 over 8, which is equal to 1 whole. Next, we have subtraction, which is 8 over 8 minus 2 over 8, which is equal to 6 over 8. Now, an activity that we can give our learners to do is to let them draw and color 8 pieces, then add or subtract the parts. And finally, the grade 6. Now, this is where we can teach simplifying and mixed numbers. Now, this is where we can use 8 out of 8 in more advanced work. How to use 8 over 8? For example, 10 over 8 equals to 1 and 2 over 8 equals to a whole and a quarter, which is after simplifying. Now we can ask, if we have 10 pieces of an 8-piece roti, how many rotis is that? Now, an exercise we can give them, which is a practice simplifying, which is 6 over 8 equals to 3/4. Now, I will be giving you a sneak peek as to what the fraction wheel actually looks like. Now, how did I create this fraction wheel? I would have used toothpicks, cardboard, scotch tape, and paste.